In a world where belief is often pitted against reason and science is seen as separate from faith, there exists a quiet harmony that many overlook. What if the things that guide our understanding of the universe, science, logic, and faith, aren't in conflict, but in agreement? What if the deepest questions of life, purpose, and existence actually point us in the same direction? This journey isn't about blind belief or emotional attachment. It's about uncovering the truth that stands firm under the microscope of science, the lens of logic, and the depth of the human spirit. And when we examine these pillars honestly and openly, many arrive at a surprising yet profound conclusion. They all lead to Islam. There is a growing number of people around the world, scientists, philosophers, and everyday seekers, who find themselves drawn to Islam not just because of spiritual longing, but because it simply makes sense. Islam doesn't ask you to abandon your mind to follow your heart. Instead, it welcomes questions. It embraces exploration. It invites reflection. The Quran itself repeatedly challenges readers to observe, think, and reason. It doesn't shy away from scrutiny. In fact, it encourages it. Imagine this. More than 1,400 years ago, verses were revealed to a man in the deserts of Arabia. Verses that describe the development of the human embryo, the origin of the universe, and the role of water in sustaining life. These weren't metaphors or vague claims. They were detailed, precise, and shockingly consistent with what modern science has discovered only in recent centuries. But the Quran is not a science book. It is a book of signs. And those signs are designed to direct us toward the truth using our own tools: observation, logic, and reflection. But Islam's strength doesn't lie only in scientific alignment. It lies in its internal coherence. When you ask the hard questions, why are we here? What is our purpose? What happens after death? Islam doesn't give you riddles or vague poetry. It gives direct, rational answers that satisfy both the heart and the intellect. Life is not an accident. Death is not the end. Morality is not subjective. Everything has a purpose, and everything is connected. This worldview doesn't contradict science, it completes it. Because science can tell us how things work, but only faith can tell us why they matter. Still, some wonder, can logic and faith really go hand in hand? In Islam, they not only coexist, they reinforce each other. Belief in one God, in divine justice, in accountability, and in mercy isn't just comforting, it's logical. It gives structure to the universe and meaning to existence. In fact, Islam teaches that truth must be consistent across all dimensions, seen and unseen, reason and revelation. That's why Islam doesn't fear questions. It invites them, because it knows the answers will not collapse under pressure. They will rise. And perhaps that's why so many scientists, thinkers, and even former atheists are embracing Islam. Not because they've been convinced by emotional stories, but because the evidence, the real, observable, testable, and rational evidence, leads them there. And once the mind accepts the truth, the heart follows. The soul finds peace. That peace is called Islam, submission to the truth, to the Creator, to the one who designed both the atom and the galaxies, the cells in our bodies, and the thoughts in our minds. So if you've ever wondered whether there's a place where science, logic, and faith meet, if you've ever searched for a worldview that respects your mind while nourishing your soul, then maybe it's time to take a closer look at Islam. Not through the lens of media, politics, or stereotypes, but through the lens of truth itself. Because when you do, you might discover what millions already have, that science, logic, and faith don't just coexist in Islam, they find their home in it. Throughout human history, people have searched for the origin of life and the universe. This search has taken many forms: scientific inquiry, philosophical reasoning, and spiritual exploration. While the methods may differ, the question remains the same: where did everything come from? And in that search, one concept repeatedly emerges across all lines of investigation: the belief in one singular creator. Islam calls this belief Tawheed, the oneness of God. And it is not just a religious statement. It is an idea that resonates deeply with science, logic, and the natural instinct of the human soul. Science tells us that the universe had a beginning. The Big Bang theory, now widely accepted, suggests that everything, space, time, matter, emerged from a single point. This beginning implies a cause, something beyond the universe itself, because nothing can cause itself to exist. Logic confirms this: every effect must have a cause. So what caused the universe? Whatever it was, it had to be beyond time and space, incredibly powerful and not dependent on anything else. This isn't just a theological idea, it's a rational necessity. And that description fits perfectly with what Islam teaches about Allah, the uncreated creator, eternal, self-sufficient, and one. When we look at nature, we see unity in design. The laws of physics operate the same across the universe. DNA carries a common code in all living things. The fine-tuning of the universe allows life to exist against incredible odds. All of this points to one intelligent will behind it all, not chaos or coincidence. Islam doesn't just affirm that there is a creator, it describes that creator in a way that makes complete sense. No images, no partners, no confusion, just one indivisible God. Even the human heart naturally leans toward this idea. Across cultures and civilizations, people have instinctively believed in a higher power. Children, without being taught theology, often describe a single God. Islam calls this fitrat, the natural inclination placed in every soul. It's as if we were created with the truth already inside us, waiting to be confirmed, not invented. So when science shows us order, logic demands a cause, and the soul seeks its source, they all point in the same direction. And that direction, when followed with sincerity and reflection, leads us to the same powerful truth: there is only one God, and Islam is the path that most clearly affirms it. One of the most remarkable features of Islam is the way it aligns with scientific discoveries that only emerged centuries after the Quran was revealed. The Quran is not a textbook of science, but it contains verses that touch upon natural phenomena with astonishing precision, leaving many to wonder, how could an unlettered man in 7th century Arabia have access to such knowledge? For those who reflect deeply, the answer becomes clear. This knowledge did not come from the mind of a man, but from the creator of the universe. Consider, for example, embryology. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, the Quran describes the stages of human development in the womb, using terms like alaha, a clinging clot, and mugah, a chewed-like lump. These terms not only match the appearance of the embryo under a microscope, but they also describe its developmental stages in a sequence that aligns with modern embryology, knowledge that was entirely unknown at the time. Professor Keith Moore, a leading authority in embryology, expressed amazement at how accurately the Quran described these stages. Another example lies in cosmology. The Quran mentions that the universe is expanding, something scientists only confirmed in the 20th century through the work of Edwin Hubble and others. Yet in Surah Ad-Dariyat, Allah says, "And the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed we are, expander." This idea of an expanding universe wasn't just absent in ancient times. It directly contradicts the static universe model that many philosophers once believed. The Quran also speaks about the origins of life. It emphasizes that all living things are made from water. In Surah Al-Anbiya, it states, "We made from water every living thing." Today, biology confirms that water is essential for all known forms of life, and that it plays a crucial role at the cellular level. These examples are not isolated. They form a consistent pattern throughout the Quran, covering topics such as mountains stabilizing the earth, the protective layers of the atmosphere, the water cycle, and more. Islam doesn't fear science, it welcomes it, because true science, when pursued honestly, only leads to greater awe of the Creator. The Quran invites us to observe the world, reflect on its signs, and recognize that such precision and order are not random. They are intentional, and they point directly to the truth of Islam. In a time when many people view religion as something based purely on emotion or tradition, Islam stands apart by presenting a belief system rooted in logic and intellectual clarity. It doesn't ask its followers to blindly accept or simply have faith. Instead, it calls upon the human mind to think, to question, and to reach conclusions based on reason. This logical structure of Islam is one of the most powerful aspects that draws people toward it. Every major belief in Islam can be examined, questioned, and understood through rational thinking. Take the concept of God, for example. Islam teaches that God is one, eternal, without beginning or end, and unlike his creation. This belief answers the fundamental question, who created us? The idea of an all-powerful, self-sufficient creator is not only spiritually comforting, but also logically necessary. Everything in the universe has a cause, so it's only rational to believe in a first cause that itself was uncaused, timeless, and independent. This is exactly how Islam describes Allah. The purpose of life in Islam is also logically sound. Islam teaches that we are not here by accident, nor are we here simply to enjoy temporary pleasures. We are created with a purpose, to worship the Creator, live morally, and prepare for the life to come. This explains the presence of conscience, the universal sense of right and wrong, and the longing for justice and meaning. Islam connects all of these ideas into a complete, understandable picture of reality. Even Islamic teachings about the afterlife are grounded in logic. We see that justice is not always served in this world. Good people suffer, while corrupt people often succeed. Logic tells us that a fair and all-knowing Creator must hold everyone accountable. The belief in a day of judgment is not based on fear or fantasy, but on the rational understanding that a moral universe must include final justice. Islam also appeals logically through its practical teachings. From dietary laws that promote health to financial systems that avoid exploitation, its laws and guidelines serve both the individual and society. It provides a framework that is not only spiritual, but also rational, ethical, and effective. In the end, Islam is not a religion that asks you to switch off your brain. It asks you to use it, to think deeply, reflect honestly, and follow where the truth leads. And for many, that journey of logic leads straight to Islam. Faith in Islam is not about blindly accepting beliefs without question or proof. Unlike many assumptions about religion, Islam encourages a relationship between belief and evidence. The Quran challenges those who doubt or reject its message to bring forth clear proof. Produce your proof if you should be truthful. Quran 2:11-1. This invitation is unique because it places faith on the foundation of reason and evidence, not just tradition or emotion. Islamic faith is built on the understanding that the universe, life, and existence are not random or accidental. It encourages people to look around, observe, and reflect on the signs in nature and within themselves. This reflection leads to a belief in a purposeful creator. This process of arriving at faith through evidence and reasoning is what sets Islam apart from blind faith or superstition. For centuries, many have viewed faith and science as opposing forces. But Islam bridges that gap by showing how faith can be informed by scientific discovery and how scientific facts can deepen faith. For example, when science uncovers the intricacies of the natural world, the precise conditions needed for life, the complexity of the human body, or the vastness of the cosmos, it points to a deliberate design which aligns with Islamic teachings about a wise and powerful creator. This evidence-based approach to faith also applies to the Quran itself. Muslims believe the Quran is a divine revelation and point to its linguistic excellence, prophecies, and unmatched consistency as proof of its authenticity. Many non-Muslim scholars have acknowledged the Quran's unique literary style and its challenges to produce anything like it. This, combined with its accurate scientific references and fulfilled prophecies, gives believers confidence in their faith. Islamic faith does not demand a leap into the unknown. It invites people to journey toward belief by seeking evidence, asking questions, and using their intellect. Faith is not an emotional impulse. It is a reasoned conclusion reached by examining the world honestly. Ultimately, this approach makes Islam accessible to anyone who seeks the truth sincerely. It respects the mind and the heart equally. By grounding faith in evidence and logic, Islam provides a strong foundation for belief that withstands doubts, questions, and the challenges of modern knowledge. This is why so many find in Islam a faith that satisfies both their spiritual needs and their intellectual curiosity. Islam offers a moral framework that is not only spiritual, but also deeply logical and universally relevant. Its teachings about justice, charity, honesty, and compassion resonate with the innate sense of right and wrong found in every human being. This universal morality is one reason why people from diverse cultures and backgrounds find meaning and clarity in Islam's guidance. The Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasize justice as a cornerstone of society. Islam insists that every individual has rights, regardless of race, gender, or social status. This commitment to fairness aligns with what logic demands, that all humans deserve equal treatment and protection under the law. When justice prevails, communities thrive and peace becomes possible. Conversely, injustice leads to chaos and suffering, a truth recognized by reason and experience alike. Charity is another vital part of Islam's moral code. It is not just a voluntary act, but an obligation that helps create a balanced society where the needy are cared for and wealth circulates in a way that reduces inequality. The concept of zakat, almsgiving, ensures that generosity is built into the fabric of society, reflecting a logical approach to social welfare. Helping others benefits the whole community. Honesty and trustworthiness are also strongly emphasized in Islam. A society where people are truthful and keep their promises is more stable and prosperous. This moral principle aligns perfectly with practical reasoning, as deception and corruption only lead to harm and breakdown of relationships. Moreover, Islam's teachings promote compassion and forgiveness, which help heal social wounds and build strong bonds between individuals. These values create an environment where people feel safe, respected, and supported. All these moral teachings aren't random rules. They form a coherent system that addresses human needs at every level, whether it's the family, community, or society at large. Islam's moral guidance fosters harmony, dignity, and well-being. It recognizes the importance of both individual responsibility and collective care. When faith aligns with morality that makes sense to the mind and touches the heart, it becomes powerful and inspiring. Islam's universal moral framework is not just about rituals or beliefs. It's about creating a world where justice, compassion, and integrity guide every action. This is why so many find in Islam a path that fulfills both their spiritual aspirations and their desire for a just, logical way of life. The transformative power of Islam is something many people experience deeply, regardless of their background, education, or previous beliefs. It is not just a religion of rituals and words, but a comprehensive way of life that touches the heart, awakens the mind, and uplifts the soul. What makes Islam truly remarkable is how it speaks simultaneously to different parts of a person: intellect, emotion, and spirit, creating a harmony that changes lives from within. Countless stories exist of individuals who once doubted or rejected faith altogether, but found themselves drawn to Islam through reason, reflection, and personal experience. Scientists, philosophers, and even former atheists have testified that Islam's message resonates with both their intellect and conscience. They often describe the moment they realize that Islam provides answers that satisfy their curiosity, questions, and inner longing for truth. This transformation isn't limited to intellectual acceptance. Islam encourages a spiritual connection with God through prayer, meditation, and remembrance, which brings peace and clarity even in the busiest and most stressful lives. The practice of daily prayers offers structure, discipline, and moments of calm reflection. It helps believers feel connected to something greater than themselves, offering comfort in times of hardship and gratitude in times of joy. Moreover, Islam's ethical teachings inspire people to improve not only themselves, but also their communities. The emphasis on kindness, charity, honesty, and justice motivates followers to lead purposeful, meaningful lives. This positive change often extends to families, neighborhoods, and entire societies, creating ripple effects that go far beyond the individual. What's striking is how Islam combines this deep spirituality with a call to use one's intellect and logic. It never asks for blind submission, but encourages continuous learning, questioning, and growth. This balance helps believers develop a faith that is strong, thoughtful, and resilient. For many, embracing Islam is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a new way of living, one that integrates science, logic, and faith into a unified whole. It's a path that transforms the heart, sharpens the mind, and elevates the soul, offering hope, purpose, and peace in a complex and often confusing world. This is the powerful, life-changing message that Islam carries, attracting people from every walk of life. When we look closely, it becomes clear that science, logic, and faith are not separate paths leading to different destinations. Instead, they are different ways of approaching the same truth. Islam beautifully bridges these realms, offering a worldview that is intellectually sound, spiritually fulfilling, and scientifically consistent. It invites us to think deeply, seek evidence, and connect with a higher purpose, all at once. Whether it is the precise scientific insights found in the Quran, the logical coherence of its teachings, or the heartfelt faith that springs from reflection and understanding, Islam speaks to the whole human experience. It answers our deepest questions, satisfies our intellectual curiosity, and nurtures our souls. This harmony between science, logic, and faith makes Islam unique and compelling in today's world. Thank you for joining me on this journey of exploration and reflection. If you found this video inspiring or thought-provoking, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that bridges knowledge and spirituality. Your support means a lot and helps spread messages that bring clarity, peace, and understanding to many. Until next time, Stay curious and keep seeking the truth.